Hi everyone, I'm Jane and welcome back to MYTERN City. Yesterday's lesson was a huge one because it was all about the neuroscience behind MYTERN. Has anyone used this or this? If you have, well done. What does this mean again? And this? Right, this is the amygdala, and this means that you're out of control. What does this mean? This means you're back in control. And why? Because you're now contacting this part of your brain, which is, yes, your prefrontal cortex. Well done. Can anyone remember how to get from here to here? Can you remember? Oh, that's right. You need a pair. Today, you're going to be introduced to a couple of things, but the first thing I want to introduce you to is our last character. Oh, I wonder who that is. There's only one that you haven't been introduced to, and who's that? It's GPS Genie. Say hello to GPS Genie. There's a GPS in your car, isn't there? And what does that do? It tells you where you are and where you're going. And that's exactly what GPS Genie does. For example, you could be sitting at your desk waiting to be asked to come up and present to the rest of the class. And you're sitting there and your tummy is feeling a bit funny and your hands are sweating and you just don't feel so good. Well, that's GPS Genie helping you to understand, oh, you could be on a bit of a nervous road at the moment. And you know what? That's okay. Now, Suze is going to help you a bit later to understand more about GPS Genie and how you can work with GPS Genie to really understand what road you're on. First, we need to find out what GPS Genie's motto is. I help you find your way anytime, night or day. I help you find your way anytime, night or day. Once more. I help you find your way anytime, night or day. Thanks, GPS Genie. Now, what I'm going to show you now involves some water and a glass. So I hope I'm not going to spill any. Why I'm using these is to show you what happens when you have lots of TEPs in your life and you don't use a pet. Because I want you to realize how important pet really is. Let me show you what I mean. So your first TEP could be you're playing your Lego and there's one piece that you really, really want and you just can't find it. And you start getting crosser and crosser. There's your first TEP. But you don't choose a pet. You just keep going and you're still a little bit angry and a bit upset, but you still keep playing. The next thing that happens, that you're called to have some lunch. So you run into the kitchen and you look at what's for lunch and you think, oh, I don't want that. So that's another TEP that happens. And you still don't use a pet. You're just a little bit grumpy and you eat the sandwich anyway, even though it's not what you wanted. And you can see the glass is starting to fill up. And then the next thing that happens is that you're supposed to go online and speak to all of your friends and you can't wait to do that. But the internet isn't working. So then it fills up your glass. Whoa, that's pretty full, isn't it?
It's time to have some fun with It's My Turn, It's Your Turn to guess which road we're on. We've got 2 guests today and your job is to guess which road they're on. If you think they're on a green road with repo, give them a thumbs up. If you think they're on a red road with busker, make a fist like busker. Okay, who are our guests today?
Now, Vinny and Marley are given one chocolate. There's only one left. And Vinny gets it. And, oh, what road's Marley on? But what's happening now? Vinny's opening the chocolate. He's giving Marley half. What road are they both on? Exactly. Oh, Vinny's jumping on Marley.
Thanks for playing. It's my turn. It's your turn to guess which road we're on.
What do you think we should have done so this glass didn't get so full? Let's go back and do it all again. Okay, you're playing Lego and you want your favourite piece and you can't find it, so you can't start to get really upset and it goes into your glass. But then you think, I'm going to use my pet. I'm going to put some music on and have a bit of a dance because that makes me feel better. All of a sudden you've got an empty glass again. Now remember what happened next? Yes, you went in to have some lunch and what was in your sandwich wasn't what you wanted. So you got really grumpy and you didn't like that at all. But you suddenly thought while you're eating the sandwich that maybe wasn't what you really wanted, you were going to sit and draw because drawing was one of your pets. So you were drawing while you were eating. And look, your glass is empty again. The next thing that was going to happen was you were going to talk to all your friends on the internet. But the internet was down, so you got really, really grumpy. And instead of staying upset, you thought, I know what, I'm going to go outside and jump on the trampoline. Look, it kept emptying your glass. It's still empty. And that's the magic of pets. Because what happens when this fills up and fills up and fills up, I better be careful not to spill it, and it's already full and you've been carrying it for a while, and then something small happens. It could be something as simple as just playing a video game and you lose. Now, if your glass is full like this, then trying to put more in, it doesn't work, does it? So you leak and explode over everything and you get really cross. And what happens? This happens. You totally lose it. You lose control. And that doesn't feel good at all when you lose control. And it's probably not good for everyone else around you either. So the secret is every time there's a TEP, you use a pet to empty your glass. Because are we going to stop TEPs in our life? Absolutely not. TEPs are meant to be there because they challenge you. But when the TEP comes, you know that pet is going to help empty your glass. How cool is that? The next time you go like that, think about whether or not you've had TEPs beforehand where you haven't used your pet and emptied your glass. And this is where you need the pet to get you back in touch with your prefrontal cortex. But this is also important to understand the people around you. If someone around you suddenly explodes, and it could be your parents or your brother or sister or anyone around you, your friend, you've got to think that they may have a full glass and they're going to need to take a big pet to try and calm themselves down. Sometimes if your parents go like this, or the people looking after you, they might have a full glass too. So try and understand that they've had lots of TEPs and they haven't used their pets. Maybe, if this is one of their pets, you could go and give them a hug. So the moral of this story is, TEP in, pet out. And you're left with an empty glass that's not heavy at all. Well done. Wonder what it's time for now. Yes, it's Pet of the Day. And today we've got 3 different pets, which is very exciting. We've got Gabe with his lightsabers. Yeah, he's got 2. And we've got Ruby, who climbs up on her climbing frame and does all sorts of wonderful things. And then we've got Will, who does some great stuff on the trampoline. I hope you enjoy it as much as they do.
This is one of my pets. Now I'll do this. And now. And then. And then I'll do this. Bye bye. This is my pet. Done.
Thanks, Gabe, Will and Ruby. That was fabulous. And now it's time for our daily rhyme. Unfortunately, this is the last character that Alana can introduce. GPS Genie. Oh, I wonder what she's done for that one.
Hi everyone. Today's little rhyme is about GPS Genie. Here we go. GPS Genie hides inside of you, telling you where to go and also what to do. When you're quiet, you can listen to the voice within, whispering when to stop and where to begin.
Thanks, Alana. We've loved listening to your rhymes, and I think GPS Genie has too. Now, do you remember this character that you were introduced to earlier? GPS Genie. Well, now Suze is going to play some games with you so you understand this even better. Thanks, Suze.
Hello everyone, Suze here. Hey, which road are you on? Well, you might be able to guess. I'm on my excited green road this morning because it's time to introduce you to another character from our MYTERN city. Yes, it's the amazing, magical... Who is it? It's GPS Genie. And just looking at her makes me feel really excited because what she does and who she is really is quite magical. Do you know that GPS Genie is actually a part of all of us, just like Moji? He represents you and I. GPS Genie represents the part of us that we might call our instinct or our intuition, the part of us that already knows the way. It's incredible to think that GPS Genie is always with us as we're navigating through life on the roads of the MYTERN city. Do you know, I'd be tricking you if I said that we can drive through the MYTERN city slowly and choose whether we take a green road or choose whether we take the red roads, because that's not real life. Life doesn't always move slowly. In fact, sometimes life moves so quickly that we can, without even knowing what's happened, we can find ourselves out of control. And that's where GPS Genie can help. Because remember, GPS Genie is the part of us that already knows the way. And when things are moving so quickly, GPS Genie is there to give us the signal that will help us know what to do next. Would you like to play a game with me so we can have a little bit more of a talk about what these signals are that GPS Genie gives us? Would you like to have some fun with me today? Great. Okay, so our game today is about listening to the messages that GPS Genie gives us through our body. Because if we're moving through our day and driving through the streets of the MYTERN city slowly, we have time to stop, pause, think, and choose. Choose whether we go on the smooth green roads, choose whether we go on the rough red roads, think about our TEPs, and choose our pets. But if we're driving quickly in the streets of the MYTERN city, we don't have time to stop, we don't have time to think, and we don't have time to choose. But GPS Genie is always there. And when we don't have time to stop and think and hear her, she will give us a message somewhere in our body. So today's game, we're going to talk about those messages and what we can do when we feel one of those messages somewhere in our body. One of those messages from GPS Genie. Are you ready? Okay, for this activity, I've got lots of pieces of paper. I've stuck them together and I got one of my children to lay down so I could trace around him. If you've got a big piece of paper or lots of pieces you could stick together, you might like to do the same. But if you don't, a small piece of paper and a person, you could draw a person on that piece of paper or a whiteboard, that'll be just fine for you to join in with this game. Okay, so I'm going to tell you some stories and they're going to be about Moji because he represents you and I. And Tep's going to help me because often it's Tep that influences me to lose control. Okay, so one day Moji was sitting at school on the mat listening to his teacher talking. And all of a sudden his teacher said, "Now I'm going to choose somebody to come up to the front of the class and tell everybody what I was just talking about." Moji? So Moji had gone from sitting quietly on the mat, feeling a little hungry and thinking about what he was going to eat for morning tea, not listening to what the teacher was saying, and then all of a sudden he found himself up the front with everyone staring at him, waiting for him to answer. Well, do you know what happened to Moji? He found himself on a scared red road, out of control, and he could hear something really loud beating. Do you know what it was? Yes, it was his heart beating loudly because he was so panicked. Well, that was GPS Genie saying, "Slow down, Moji, you need a pet." What do you think a good pet would have been that Moji could have used right then? Perhaps some deep breathing? Great idea. Okay, so sometimes when we find ourselves out of control because we're moving really fast, GPS Genie will give us a signal through our heart beating loudly. We'll suddenly be able to hear it because when you think about it, if you're moving slowly, you can't hear that noise. You can't feel that noise or feel that either, can you? No. It's usually when we find ourselves out of control. How wonderful that GPS Genie is there to give us that message so we can stop and we can choose a pet. Okay, another story. On a different day, Moji was sitting on the mat and he was paying attention on this day, and the teacher asked a question and he thought, "Oh, I know the answer." And he put his hand up really strong thinking, "Oh, pick me, pick me." And he was so excited, the teacher did pick him. And he said the answer really proudly, and the teacher said, "No, that's the wrong answer." So Moji went from being really excited that he was picked to all of a sudden, he panicked because everybody was looking around him and he felt really embarrassed. Do you know what happened to Moji? He felt something really hot on his face. Has that ever happened to you? Yes, that's right. GPS Genie was giving him a message. That's around about the cheeks. When his cheeks suddenly got red. It was a message to say, slow down, Moji. I think you might need a pet. I wonder what sort of pet that Moji could have used then. Maybe he could have used his imagination to remind him of a time when he was doing, when he did know the right answer and he did do something amazing, and maybe that might have helped him to feel a bit more confident again. Okay, one day, Moji was at the swimming pool with his friends and everyone decided to have a turn on the big slide at the pool. Now, Moji never had a turn before, but he looked and thought, wow, that looks exciting. So he joined his friends and they climbed up the ladder all the way up the steps to the top of the slide. They were chatting and laughing as they were walking up. They got to the top of the slide and his friends all started to go down, wee, wee, having so much fun. Then Moji had his turn and he stopped at the start of the slide and had a look down, and all of a sudden he felt really, really scared. Do you know what happened to Moji? His whole body started to shake and quiver. He thought this was going to be something really fun and really exciting, and he'd been feeling really brave, but when it actually came to the moment, he found himself out of control on his scared red road. And his body shaking, slide over there. Sometimes it could be your hands, sometimes it could be your legs, sometimes it can be your whole body. That's a message from GPS Genie to say, stop, slow down, you need a pet. What do you think would have been a good pet for Moji? Perhaps he needed to take a deep breath and he needed to head back down the steps, and maybe having a turn on the slide wasn't the right thing for Moji to do that day, and that's okay. Moji also likes to play Roblox, and sometimes he plays Roblox by himself, but sometimes he plays games on Roblox with other people. And it can feel like lots of fun and everybody's chatting and playing the hiding and finding games on Roblox. But then sometimes some different people come on and join the game, some people that he doesn't know, and they start chasing him. And he finds, his fun, calm game starts to move faster and faster and faster. People are saying things, people are chasing him, people are finding him, and sometimes he finds that he's out of control. His face has gone from to ugh. And do you know what happens to Moji? Sometimes it can be up here, sometimes it can be all the way down into his neck. He gets a message from GPS Genie saying, stop, Moji, you need to slow down and you need to find a pet. Now, what do you think Moji likes to do if that happens when he's playing a game like Roblox on his device? Yes, his favourite pet is to close down the game and to go outside in the fresh air for some exercise. Now, our last story for today is about when Moji and his class were practicing an item for assembly. They were all having a little turn, doing a little play in front of the whole school and all of the grown-ups that were coming on that day. Now, Moji was enjoying the practice and he was having a turn by himself. He was feeling really confident when they were practicing in the classroom. But on the day of the assembly, when he went up the front of the assembly with the rest of his class and he turned around for the first time to look at the audience, he suddenly found himself feeling really worried, because he hadn't had a practice before with all of those people watching and it felt quite different. Do you know what sometimes happens to Moji when he's got to do something that it's really important and he really wants to do it, but he suddenly feels quite nervous? Have you ever felt that fluttering sort of feeling in your stomach when you felt nervous? It almost feels like butterflies. And that's GPS Genie giving us a signal that we need to stop, slow down, and we need to make a choice. Do we need a pet? Now, when you're standing in front of lots of people, what sort of pet could you use? Yes, you can use your breathing pet or you can use your mindfulness pet. Sometimes your mindfulness pet can help you imagine a picture that calms you down, a picture that you can put into your mind. And that's a really great pet to use when you find things moving so quickly and you get a message from GPS Genie, stop and find a pet. So, lots of messages from our body. Do you ever feel a pain in your head, or do your cheeks ever go red? Do you ever feel your heart beating fast, or some little butterflies in your stomach? Have you ever felt your body shaking when you found yourself out of control? Well, do you know what? If you've ever noticed that, I'm really proud of you. And if you haven't, that's something I'd like you to do over the next few days and weeks. Start noticing when your body gives you those signals. But don't worry, because now you know it's just GPS Genie. And in fact, what she's doing is she's helping you because she already knows the way. Now, if you don't listen to GPS Genie, if you don't know how to respond to those things that are happening in your body, well, sometimes we can just find ourselves moving further and further out of control. And sometimes for Moji, that means he starts to cry, he starts to shout, he starts to have a tantrum if he's not listening to GPS Genie. But now that you know that those are messages from GPS Genie, you don't have to continue losing control. You can stop and think, oh, I know what I need to do. I know that signal from my body. That's GPS Genie helping me to choose a pet and to find the right way. Well done, everyone.
Isn't it wonderful how all the characters in MYTERN help each other to help you? For example, if you've got a TEP and it starts to affect you, then GPS Genie helps to show you through your body what road you're on, and then Pet comes along and helps empty your glass. So they're all working together. So thanks for showing us that, Suze. That was great. Yes, it's football time again, and we've got Brad and the Hawks to give us some more tips today.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's football skills training session. My name's Brad.
I'm Milo. And I'm Aya.
And that's Teddy. He can't actually talk, but he's going to be do a bit of a cameo as well in today's session. I hope everybody's doing fine at home at the moment. We know things are pretty tough, but the one thing that we can control at the moment is keeping ourselves active, and in particular, practicing our footy skills. So far we've done gathering, we've done handballing, and we've done marking. Okay?
Now we need to
the one that everybody wants to practice is kicking. Okay, but remember, we can't kick in a game unless we can get the ball. Okay, we can gather the ball, or one of our teammates can handball or kick it to us. So we need to be able to practice those other skills as well as kicking. So we don't just want to practice kicking, because that is just one part of the game. But when we practice kicking, it's really important that we cover a few key techniques. And this will really help us to get better at our kicking, and then ultimately be able to use our non-preferred side as well, because it's the same skills or the same technique on both sides. So the first part is with the ball, is that we're going to aim to try and kick the ball on this back part of the ball. Because if I kick the ball on the back part there, the ball actually spins backwards. Okay, so the first thing I should be able to do, just by myself, is just keep kicking the ball like that.
And don't hit it on your leg there.
That's right, so on my foot and just flicking the ball back up to me. Okay, and you can see my toes pointing upwards like that. Now, with my hand position, depending on your size of your hand and the size of this ball. This is a size 3, so it's a small ball for me, but it's the right size for Milo. We want to get our hand down the side, roughly with our thumb pointing up towards the lace up the top, and then basically on the side of the ball, okay? Then, when we kick the ball, my right hand, which is the same as my right foot, is going to guide the ball as far as I can down towards my foot. Okay, that's going to help control the ball, and it's going to mean it's easier for me to hit my target. Okay, so you can see my hand is controlled there, and it's going down towards my foot. So same, just practice that one first. Once I'm good at that one, okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep guiding that ball, and I'm going to kick through. And we're going to practice in a moment, kicking towards a target. And I'm going to point my toe towards my target, which is going to be Milo, and he's going to do the same to me. Okay, so quick summary. Hand on the side of the ball, roughly down the side like that. Don't worry exactly about where it is. I'm going to try and guide the ball with my hand to my foot, and I'm aiming to hit the ball there so the ball spins backward, which is a drop punt. Because it's easier for my teammate to mark it, that's the reason we use a drop punt, and it's easier for me to control it, okay, as opposed to other types of kicks like banana and torpedo and those types of ones. Okay, let's have a look at that in action. So, just start only 4 or 5 metres apart, point to your target, that's it. So guide the ball, point your target. Ooh.
Look at the skill of Bruce. And they are on fire now, Hawthorn.
G'day Hawks fans, Luke Bruce here, just in my backyard. I've got my isolation set up next to me, got a footy as well, so I'm here to take you through a few skill drills that we do at the footy club to make sure we're staying sharp with the footies in our hands. The first skill we're going to try is just start with both hands in front of it, and you're just going to alternate between going behind and in front. Try and do that as fast as possible, and then the variation to that is one hand in front, one hand behind, and you're just swapping. We'll start getting some handballing involved now as well, so you want to be going right side and left side, 30 seconds each side. So you just go over your shoulder, catch, do that as fast as you can for 30 seconds, and then on the left hand side as well, and just keep repeating that. The next skill we're going to try and do, guys, is for 30 seconds. You want to put one leg out in front, you're going to wrap it around 3 times and then take a bounce. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope that helps a little bit in isolation to give you a few activities around the house that you can do. I'll leave you with one final one, so you've got to try and do it like that. That's your final task, to try and master that.
As I said in the last lesson, we're going to have some really good footballers around. So thanks Brad and the Hawks for imparting such wonderful knowledge. Wow, we're coming to the end of another amazing lesson. Who did we meet today? Who's the last character in the MYTERN team? GPS Genie. And Sue's help us learn to listen to her. We also learned how TEPs start to fill our glass, but it's pets that help empty it. And that if we get it too full, it's going to be really dangerous when we get another TEP on top of that, isn't it? So make sure you keep emptying your glass with a pet. And Gabe, Ruby and Will introduced us to some wonderful new pets. That was fabulous. And in our game of Which Road Am I On? Vinny and Marley were excellent today, so thank you for that. And Brad and the Hawks were back with more wonderful AFL skills. And finally, thank you to Alana, our rhyme lady. You've been here for every character. It's been wonderful. Thank you. These lessons have gone by so quickly and it's been so much fun having you here with us, and we hope that you've learned lots. Now tomorrow we've got all sorts of special things for you, which we're really looking forward to. And I'm hoping that we might have all the characters in our final song. Let's see. So until then, have fun in the city of MYTERN. Bye.
It's my turn. It's my steering wheel. It's my turn. It's my voice. Red roads are rough and green roads are smooth. No roads are judged, I get the freedom to choose. Red roads are rough and green roads are smooth. No roads are judged, I get the freedom to choose. It's my turn. It's my steering wheel. It's my turn. It's my voice. When I'm in control, that's when I'm in the flow. When I'm in control, I get to grow. Choosing a rough road, my driving improves. Choosing a smooth road, I feel the groove. Choosing a rough road, my driving improves. Choosing a smooth road, I feel the groove. It's my turn. It's my steering wheel. It's my turn. It's my voice. I am who I am. And where I am is okay. I am who I am. And where I am is okay.